Welcome to Talk and Roll with Hawk and the Captain. Hawk is out again today, but he will be back next time, hopefully, fingers crossed. Today we have get you're a shredder. I've seen you playing on Instagram, and I had to backtrack because you were playing. I was like, hell yeah. Um Sacra Victoria from you are a session musician, but you're in Sacred Symphony is your main gig, correct?
That's a project that I do with my boyfriend James, who's also an amazing guitarist, and that's a project that we are currently in the process of like completing. We're working on our EP or album,
Okay,
6 songs at the moment, and we're going to release them soon. So,
cool. Well, tell us about yourself, what you do, and all that fun stuff.
I'm mainly a guitarist, obviously.
Yeah.
I live in Nashville, so I have my own original music that I'm working on as well. In addition to the Sacred Symphony, that's just my own personal music. I do both instrumental music and vocal music, so it's like half and half for me. The vocal music obviously is what people want to hear mostly, but I do love shredding, so that definitely comes out and with my original music. But at the moment, I'm in the process of finishing my album as well with that, and then I have Sacred Symphony as a project that we're getting close to finishing that. I'm also playing on Broadway at the moment in Nashville with the first all or not the first, but the first in the last 20 years, I think, band in Broadway Nashville, which is basically like 4 hours of, cover songs, which is, it's cool. I've been filling in and gigging with a lot of people around the area or close to the area. I play tons of genres. So, anytime someone needs a guitarist, I take the gig, whatever genre, as long as it's, cool and fun.
So I got to ask you because I have a friend of mine who is a bass player, and he's in a couple bands, but he goes and gigs and does a lot of stuff like you. Do you prefer Gun for Hire or because I call him a journeyman bassist. What do you prefer?
Um, I guess hired gun is cool.
Hired gun? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I've noticed a lot of that lately. A lot of people who um, have their own bands but do other side projects, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, I know that a lot of that is just financially.
Hmm.
It's how you pay the bills. Yeah, I talked to a guy. He was a couple years back at of all things comic book convention. He was a metal guitarist, and he was playing in a country band, like a big country band. And he goes, that pays the bills. He goes, I have fun with my band playing with, I can't remember, I'm not gonna say who he's playing with, but he goes, that pays the bills. He goes, that's how I see the country. That's how I pay my bills. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like I just got back from like playing for 3 days with a punk band called the Beat Creeps. They're really cool. Their live show is really fun, and it was an opportunity to play with some different music, especially a different genre, because I'm not a rockabilly punk person at all. But it was fun to kind of get out of my comfort zone and play with them, and it does give you a chance to see some different places. So
yeah.
it's definitely cool.
Have you played in other bands and like come to appreciate the music that you didn't maybe appreciate before?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Before I played with them, I'd never really maybe heard of rockabilly, but never certainly listened to it. So I'm playing with them, and they do some cover songs as well as originals, but hearing some of the other artists in the genre, like the Cramps and like Stray Cats and Brian Setzer and things like that, it's definitely interesting to get to know those artists. They're really awesome, and I would never have discovered them had I not played with them. So
That's cool. I discovered a lot of rockabilly, ironically enough, from going and seeing Rob Zombie and White Zombie back in the day, because for some reason he had them opening up for them constantly on tour.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So when did you pick up the guitar?
I started playing guitar when I was 13.
13.
Yeah.
And who inspired you to pick up the guitar?
No one actually in my family is a musician at all, nor a guitarist at any level. So finding music was definitely my own desire completely. I actually played the video game Guitar Hero. It's a weird. It's probably not too many people have that same inspiration, but that's what has actually inspired me to play guitar. Was Guitar Hero 3, and when I played it, I loved the music in it. Like I'd never heard like songs like Barracuda or Hit Me With Your Best Shot and Cliffs of Dover and like the Devil Went Down to Georgia thing at the end at the expert level. And I just thought it was so cool. And I was actually really bad at Guitar Hero, like really bad. But I love the idea of like being a guitarist, and I would always pick. I think her name's like Casey Lynch from Guitar Hero 3 was like one of the characters. She's like the
Yeah.
blonde with the leather pants and and I always picked her. And I was like in my brain, I was like, I want to be that. You know, so I got guitar lessons and I started playing guitar. Musically, I think the first band that really inspired me to play was the Beatles. After I kind of discovered Guitar Hero 3, somehow I discovered the Beatles around the same time, and that really pushed me to actually begin practicing and learning songs and stuff. So
Cool. It's really neat to see people, because I know I played Guitar Hero and Rock Band and all that stuff, and I know that the guitar is nothing like playing guitar or the bass, but the drums is almost exactly. And so many people I know that like they got really good at playing the Rock Band drums and they've moved on to actually trying to play drums because of that. So
yeah.
you're not the
Mhm.
only one. And it's funny that it's Guitar Hero. Literally, I own a comic book and video game shop today. I had a guy bring me in a bunch of Guitar Hero games. So I'm like, that's just funny. That's doubling down here.
Yeah.
So just what is your music? What is yours? Not Sacred Symphony or your cover bands. What's your music?
My music is the vocal music is kind of like I guess if you could combine like just old school kind of rock and metal together. I'm not like a singer by any means, so but I'm also not bad. I kind of think I have a unique voice. It's not like rough and metal, but it's also not like typical girl like singing. It's different. It's almost like ethereal, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it's kind of that sort of vocals, and then the music is kind of like, I guess, like kind of Dio, Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, um
Stuff.
yeah, that sort of stuff, like old school metal, metal
Very,
rock.
do you have like the big epics, like songs with dragons and fighting knights and stuff like that?
Actually, no, yeah, that's the part I don't really have actually. Like most of my songs are about, let's see, like one's kind of a lovey song, which is not my typical style at all. Another one is called Devil in the Dark, so it's kind of like devilly-ish, scary. Um, and then another one is called The Raven, which is it's just kind of artsy music. It's not like Boy Meets Girl or My Boyfriend Broke Up with Me. It's not anything like that. It's very metal, but it's not metal in like standard way where it's like dragons and swords and stuff. So it's kind of it's I think it's really quirky and different and cool.
Yeah, that's how a lot of our bands that we've had on here, that's how they get noticed, is by being just different enough to be noticed and to be seen. And and it's so funny that I, old school metal dude from way back. I'm always joking around that I'm the old man on the show usually. So far, I've been the oldest person on every episode we've ever filmed. No, yeah. So, but finding music the way I'm currently finding music with, streaming and, Instagram and stuff like that. How are you embracing that, being able to find all that stuff that way?
Well, social media is great. I also, don't don't like it, probably in the same ways that most people don't like it. You know, it is time consuming. Like I'll
Yeah.
find myself spending hours on it, not recreational, just strictly, you know, posting, writing, getting back to people, answering messages. Like
Oh yeah.
it's a lot, but it's also really great because I've been able to connect with a lot of people that I would definitely have not have connected with otherwise. I get a lot of gigs from social media, so someone in the area sees that I'm in Nashville and they message me and stuff. I meet a lot of friends that way, and then they know people who need a guitarist, and so it's really great for networking. And then obviously self promotion. I make a little tiny bit of money here and there from it, like TikTok, but that's, you know, it's
Yeah.
not really much.
Because like I said, I found you on Instagram. I was scrolling through looking for talking to some other people, and there's a picture of you and you're just playing away, and I'm like, hold on a second, I gotta back up. I'm watching, I was like, damn, that's really freaking good. And it was so it's funny because I've done it with a couple people now that you're scrolling through, you're not really paying attention, and then suddenly somebody hits you. And I the video, as I'm sitting here playing with this, I should have had it popped up here. Even though Instagram knocks me off as soon as my phone goes back to uh there we are. Is that it? Yeah. Yeah, that one is the one that hit me. I was like, oh shit, damn. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's Tornado of Souls.
Oh yeah. So who's your do you have a your guitar playing, do you go actively trying to sound like somebody else, or do you try to sound like yourself, or are you pursuing a certain sound or anything?
With guitar, when I as I progressed, I've kind of wanted to sound like other, you know, players. Like when I first started, I wanted to sound like George Harrison because he was my idol. So I would like dress like the Beatles and play like the Beatles, and you know, I even wore glasses like just to pretend that I was John Lennon. You know, That's, you know, I didn't even need them, but I wore them anyway just because I thought it was cool. So I kind of like embodied characters like that a lot. Jimmy Page was like my next idol, so I wanted to dress like him, play Les Paul, you know, sound like him. And then Steve Vai for a while, and then Ingve. You know, I got a Strat with scallops and the Marshall and the whole thing, and played all the licks and thought that was the coolest thing. And then now I feel like I'm kind of at a point where all of that like has come together and like kind of made me.
Yeah.
I don't really I don't strive at all to sound like anyone anymore. Even though people might think I do. I don't do that on purpose. I'm really inspired a lot by Ingve just in general with shredding, since
Hmm.
he was the one of the first. But you know, I don't play a Strat anymore. I don't play guitars with scallop necks anymore. I don't like wear leopard shoes anymore. Stuff like that. I don't I haven't cut my hair in forever, you know. I cut it short like his 85 days, you know.
Oh yeah. It's bad is Ingve, I wanted to go see him. He was playing at a bar local about 30 minutes away. And a friend of ours owned that bar. And he's like, he's playing with a radio. I'm like, what? He goes, he just flies in his guitar and everything else is backing. He just plays on the stage by himself now. And I'm like, you know, you've made it when you don't need anybody else but you to be the show
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
perform. That's crazy. So we love to ask the questions. Like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see the band and or your own band? Or
Um, for me personally, I would say definitely having an album or two even completed, or some amount of equivalent work of whatever that is. And preferably like touring as an artist on my own and with Sacred Symphony or whatever other projects come along. But definitely moving forward with my own music and booking venues and gigs because people want to see me and my shredding and vocal music and all that sort of stuff. I also really do love being a hired gun, I guess, you know, filling in for people or with people or just being, I guess, in bands. I really don't consider myself being in bands when I fill in for people, mostly because, you know, I'm not really in the band. I'm just, you know, here and there. But just being able to do that with other musicians, I really love playing tons of genres and meeting so many different people. And it's so much fun to kind of get out of my comfort zone. And so I really want to keep doing that and hopefully get better and, you know, more interesting far away gigs, you know, like maybe, you know, places in America, obviously, different states, but maybe going out of the country with an artist would be awesome. But still doing my own thing, you know. So I really love that portion of playing with other artists too.
Yeah. The way you're doing, you're gonna do. We joke around calling it clutching it because one of my favorite bands, Clutch, and those guys are in like 6 different bands. And I was like, there was a tour where basically each band it was still Clutch, but they were the opening act, the co-headliner, and then the headliner. See, that's what you're going to do eventually. You're going to be the opening
Hmm.
act, the co-headliner, and then
Yeah, that would be cool. You know, I would definitely not. I've considered that kind of, especially with my music and then Sacred Symphony stuff, and
yeah,
then maybe another artist that I, you know, played with. You know, it definitely could happen that way easily. I could be
yeah.
playing for 4 hours, but with 3 different bands or something.
Well, you're already talking about you're doing the Broadway and you're doing covers for X amount of hours, and that's crazy. So it's we always have like to have this discussion on covers because so many people will like, oh, I don't do covers at all. That's their music. That's not my music. Where do you stand on that?
That is definitely a popular opinion with artists, especially in town. Like they are very much against playing covers, or they don't like Broadway, or they do, and or they just do it for the money or whatever. But I mean, as long as it's not like a slow day, like today, it was a really slow day. Like there were like 2 people there, and I still enjoy playing, you know. But it's definitely a lot more fun to play covers or any kind of music to a crowd that wants you there and is excited to hear it. And I definitely love playing covers. I don't have a problem with it at all. I prefer to obviously play my original music, but it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. I'll play covers because I mean, especially with songs like Crazy Train or I don't know, Rocky Like a Hurricane, or I don't know, Mr. Crowley, anything that's, or The Trooper. Like I
Yeah,
always add my own spin on that sort of stuff, you know, especially in the solo sections. Like, you know, I'll keep the general melody or the general riff, or sometimes I'll, you know, thrash it up a little bit, or I'll shred this extra part, or I'll throw my own spin on it.
yeah.
So I never allow myself to stay bored. You know, I'm always like trying to, you know, push myself and add like my own flavor, and people love that, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's cool what people do. Is if you do a cover song and it sounds exactly like the original, I don't think you're really doing your job. I think when you make it a little bit your own, even though you pay homage to the original, and that's what you're talking about. And I think that's great. We talk about the greatest cover band ever is Metallica. And 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 everybody's like, you're kind of right. I'm like, I didn't even think about it until my co-host said something about it. I'm like, dang right, he is. They're one of the best cover bands out there. And now you got all these other big bands doing whole cover albums. Hailstorm and Stone Sour are doing full cover albums. So fucking embrace it, take it, make it your own. So
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the cover can be better, you know.
yeah,
When I play live, I think people like my own spin on cover songs, you know, because it's like they know it's not what they heard on the record, but they like the energy, so they like it. Online though, it's kind of different because a lot of times when I add my own spin on things, people will say that it's not, I didn't play it right, or it's the wrong this or that, and I specify it's my own version. But people don't like it so much online when you add your own flavor. But live, people love it. So there's a difference there.
embrace it, take it, make it your own. That's the best way to do it. So when you're out playing and you're doing, like you said today, you were doing a show for like 2 people. That's just crazy for me to think because I live in a small area, and if there was a good live band, there would be a full bar. And
Yeah.
we get mediocre bands, and it'll still be a full bar because people just want to go see live music. Um, you're in Tennessee, known for I guess country music. Is how is the metal scene where you're at?
It's actually really great. A lot of people down here play metal. There's a kind of like a metal night. It's like a community jam that happens like 3 or 4 times a year where all like the metal and rock people get together and they play cover songs and they're usually themed. It's called Rare Hair, and Tyson Leslie hosts it and everything. He's awesome, but yeah, it's really fun. Like you'll get your song and you play with like 4 people you've never even met before or don't even know their names, and it's just like plug in and go and play, and they're all metal people, rock people, pop metal, pop rock. It's some sort of heavier genre for sure. Like no real jazz players or country. I mean, maybe they do that, but definitely more rock and metal. So and those places, the venues and the shows are always really packed with metal rock people. It's definitely more country down here, but even on Broadway, it's very diverse as far as music goes. I mean, I don't know if you know what Nashville Broadway is.
I've been by that area, but never been to it. I've just
Yeah,
kind of heard.
it's basically an entire street just packed with bars,
Yeah,
just like the whole street is lined with bars, and each one of those bars has 3 floors, and of those 3 floors, one band is playing, and shifts constantly all day. So even when you're down there, you'll hear like anything from like country, like Folsom Prison, to Crazy Train, to like an Usher song. So it's very like metaled up, so it's very diverse. uh like a lot of the guitarists down here, they can shred country, they can shred metal, they enjoy playing all those genres. So it's not really too country driven, which is nice.
we uh we had actually planned on me and my kids and my one best friend. We were planning on going down for a guys trip, going and hanging out down there for that reason. And to be honest, I didn't know it was called Broadway. I just knew that there was this area, all these bars, and they all played music almost every night, every day, pretty much
Hmm.
open to close. There's music being played. And I'm like,
Yep.
that's where we need to go. And we hear there's good food because we're all foodies too. So we gotta go where food and music are. Um, so with playing music, how long have you been playing? I mean, you've said you're relatively picked up what 13. So what do you?
Yeah, so about 13, 14 years.
Okay. And we'll always ask this one. How's your family? Is your family cool with it? Is it one of the ones where they're like, you're going to go through a phase, you're in a phase.
Yeah, and my family, like specifically my mom, has always been really supportive of me doing music, especially guitar, considering that, like, again, no one in my family plays music at all. So it was like weird. You want a guitar? Okay, what's a guitar? Where do I buy one? you know, like what's this thing? I don't know what it is. But yeah, no, she bought me my first guitar and all the consecutive ones after that, and such. So yeah, I have a very supportive mom, specifically family unit. My boyfriend also plays guitar, so it's guitar all the time.
Guitar. Now, are you competitive with your boyfriend playing?
I mean, we keep each other on our toes, but like we're both really great at different things. He's good at like technique and like shredding like specific like intervallic stuff and like rusty cooling and all that sort of stuff. And then like I'm more of like the like I can play a lot of genres, and I'm also fast, but like I got more of the theory side of things, and we like teach each other, so he's teaching me technique stuff, and then I'm teaching him theory, and so we're both constantly learning from each other, so that's nice.
So with the Sacred Symphony, do you take turns, like one song you'll be rhythm, he'll be lead, or do you switch off during the songs?
Yeah, with that, usually it's like we're always playing at the same time, whether one of us is playing the riff or the other solo. But we'll play the riff together. Sometimes we'll harmonize the riff. Sometimes we'll harmonize the lines, and we just trade solos. It's a very planned, so it's not like we're jamming or anything. It's definitely composed and well thought out, and Like I know when I'm going to solo and he knows when he's going to solo, and we play our solos.
See, I've noticed that a lot in more newer bands and stuff like that. Because I like I said, I'm old. I grew up and you had your rhythm guitarist and you had your lead. And now I've seen a lot of it so that there is lead guitarist, there is no rhythm guitarist. They play and off of each other. There's, one will keep rhythm while the other's doing a solo, but then it fluctuates. There is no lead or rhythm guitarist anymore. It's just guitarist. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
yeah. Um, and with you working on these albums, we asked because we've noticed this a lot. Are you going to be one of the ones that puts out a single until you get your album out and build it up? You're doing it that way?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Especially because I don't really have a huge following. I think that would be better because it'll entice people to to listen and wait for the next, more so than dropping it all at once.
Yeah. Well, it's and like we said, online and stuff like that, people can really spot you and see you and get to hear your music and get to feel what you're doing and it's great. And I think that, like I said, I spotted you playing and I was like, God, because it reminded me of old school stuff. It reminded me of shit I was listening to when I was a kid and up until recently. I mean, I can't say up until recently. I still listen to the exact same stuff plus more. Um, do you do you feel that I'm going to ask you the big question here. How do you feel being a woman guitarist in metal? Do you think people kind of like you always got the old boy crowd, the guys who are like, this is all boy, whatever. I think it's bullshit. But do you run into any of that?
With me, I know that a lot of women have expressed like distaste for how guys treat them in the industry and all this sort of stuff. But to be honest, I've never once experienced any of that. Like, at least in the shred world or whatever world I'm in, it must be its own unit because I've gotten nothing but like adoration and respect from the men in my field. Like,
Right.
I honestly can't think of one time that I felt like a man or even girl like disrespected me because I was a girl. I mean, if anything, especially down here, like there's so many like women vocalists and they always want a girl guitarist. Like they're always like, "Oh, you're a girl, you play guitar? Wow, awesome. You want to play for me?" Like it's really like one of the coolest things because there was like, "Yeah, I want a girl band. I've always wanted a girl band, but it's so hard to find a girl to play guitar." And so no, it's actually really a good thing. And I really have always been respected by the community. Like I've never felt that I was looked down upon because I was a woman, even though I know a lot of women experience that. I haven't.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I grew up and I watched these, literally you were talking about Barracuda. I watched Heart and the Runaways and Joan Jett and Runaways Lita Ford and Vixen and stuff like that. You saw these girls and they were all, I guess some people looked at them as a novelty. And now, some of the, I see these bands now. It's not a novelty anymore. Bolt Thrower has a girl in the band. Baroness does, and you see these girls, and they're killing it. I shouldn't say girls. These women are killing it, and you're like, just because you know you think that they're attractive or whatever, you know. I'm gonna throw my little buddy under the bus here. We went and seen Merciful Fate not well now 2 years ago. Shit. And he's like, man, that bass player. I'm like, she's really good. It doesn't matter if she's hot. She's really good.
Yeah, yeah,
And
she's awesome.
oh, man, Becky Baldwin. That was one of the ones where I'd followed her, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, she's playing for Merciful Fate. And I'm like, holy shit, she's awesome. I've seen her live, and she's killing it. And oh man, it's like I said, it's cool. Especially because I didn't think about the fact is that there would probably be a lot of female lead singers in the Nashville area, and I didn't even think about that. That's incredible that they're like, yeah, we want women in the band, definitely 100%. We don't want it to be So,
Yeah, and even guys want me, you know. I'm fairly certain that being a girl is probably this maybe the second reason, maybe not even the reason, but like it's just it's like, oh, that's a plus, but I really think it's because of my skill. At least I feel that way. I mean, because I've never gotten that sense. But it's like with the Broadway stuff, you know, playing in an all-girl band, that is pretty cool, and people do love it. And it's like, oh, and I think really the women love it the most because it's like it makes them feel good and like powerful. That like, yeah, that's cool. But then also a lot of the guys like they love to jam with me. They're like, yeah, get up here. Like when I played with the Beat Creeps the other night. It was on the second. We were playing at this bar, and again, I'm not really a rockabilly player at all. Like I can't even remotely say how much I do not play that genre. So me playing that stuff was like really out of my comfort zone. But we were there and they were having a jam and they're playing like these Gretches and with like the thickest strings in the world and like that's just not me. I'm like, you know, low action, slinky strings, metal gain, you know, and they're like, get on stage, come jam with us to like Coochie Coochie Man. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, or and they played like the blues and like they're so totally cool and they just hand me the Gretsch and I put this thing on, it looked silly and I start playing like the blues and I'm like, okay, don't shred. That's right. Just play lines. And then the guy next to me, who was amazing, he didn't even have an arm, he didn't even have a hand. He was picking without his hand because he didn't have one. And it just blew my mind. I was like, wow, I'm playing a genre I've never played with. The guy next to me doesn't even have a hand. He's singing amazing. I'm like, this is so cool.
did you have a prosthetic? Like,
No, no. He
so he's
was
just
just
with a nub?
playing. Yep. It was amazing. And his voice was like freaking awesome.
Wow.
Just and I, you know, I love that song too anyway, because one of my favorite movies is Roadhouse. So I was like, yeah, this is fun. This is it's not me, you know, in the sense of it's not metal, but I definitely loved it. It was really cool. And they were all like, yeah, yeah, you know, a genre I never played in a group of people I've never been around, and they were all guys, and they were like, "Yeah, get on stage." So that was
Yeah.
nice. It was really cool. It was fun.
Yeah, I seen something crazy. September last year, I watched a guy with aerodactyly. So he had the uh, uh, claw hand. So he only had like the tooth, and he was playing bass, and he had aerodactyl, and I was like, "That's crazy." He just puts the pick in his plays away, and I'm like, "That's awesome." Then you're telling me a guy's got no. What was the name of the band?
It actually wasn't a band. I
Oh
actually don't
shit!
even know the name of the guy. I don't.
Damn.
I wasn't introduced, but it was just. I think it was the band was. I think his name was not his name. But the guy who did sound or hosted the event or something. I think his name was Walt Hot Rod or something. Hot Rod Walt. Yeah, it wasn't really a band. It was kind of like just, you know, this is our community of rockabilly players, and we're all just jamming at the end of the show. So
Nice. That's cool though.
it was cool.
So have you got to play with any bigger bands or anything yet?
No, not any bigger bands yet. Um, yeah, not as of yet.
Not
But
of yet. So, well, we always ask do you have any tour horror stories? Any shows that bad stuff happened at?
gosh, man, I'd have to think about that. Um, I don't know. I know other people's stories.
See, we've had, I'm like, I think it was the first interview we did. We were talking with these guys out of here in Ohio, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like the lead guitarist tried to stab the bassist on stage," and you're just like, "The hell you say?" You had
Yeah, I don't think I have any crazy stories. I have some like good stories, like someone was proposed to when I was playing Tennessee Whiskey. That was pretty cool.
so
Um, Mostly good stuff.
somebody like in the middle of a show decided to get down on the knee and during tennis.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think actually there was two proposals on the same night, which was crazy. One was during Tennessee Whiskey and it was like a country kind of couple. And then another one was like these like you could tell they were like older rocker kind of metal people and they were like I'm gonna propose to my girl or whatever, and I want you guys to play Iron Maiden. And we're like, okay. Like that's the song you wanna propose to someone with is Iron Maiden. I'm like, that's freaking rad.
My wife says that our song is "Here's to Us" by Hailstorm, is all the dumb shit we went through when we were young. So
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's like the country people like the Tennessee whiskey, and then the metalheads are like, yeah, Bark at the Moon, play that next, and it's funny. It's like that's romantic, you know?
oh, but so you were playing like all that different genres of music in one night, like as a
Oh
cover band?
yeah. Hmm.
That'd be kind of cool. So you go from country to rock to metal, and damn. So did you have a favorite song to play?
On Broadway specifically?
No, yeah, just what your favorite cover to play. Yeah.
Well, like probably about as like metal as I could probably get, like playing out in a cover band would probably be like Bark at the Moon and Iron, like the Trooper or something, you know, because at least I can like solo, you know, at the in the middle of that and do my own thing. As far as like actual music, though, it would definitely be my own music,
Okay.
honestly, probably.
You know, it's nice seeing um like I said, I'm gonna go back to being an old man here. It's nice seeing people way younger than me finding metal because there's always the rumors that, people are talking about how metal's dead, that kids aren't getting into metal. And I'm like, that's literally our show is the amount of people in their early 20s, mid 20s that are into metal, that are playing old school stuff, that are playing stuff that you know, was old when they were born. And like you're talking about Bark at the Moon. Shit, Bark at the Moon was it 83, I think? And you were not even remotely 83.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So were your parents into any music? Were they or just no?
None, like completely none. Like I don't even think I heard my first song until I was like 10. This is how it feels, you know. It's like if anything, it was like classical music or maybe the occasional pop from like a movie soundtrack like Shrek or Princess Diaries or something. But like that's it. Like no metal at all. So when I heard metal when I was like, I think I was like 11 or something, it was like, what is this? You know?
We did a discussion with a girl. She was from Spain and she's in the Netherlands now, and she was literally in a village in Spain of like 40 people and found metal. And I'm like, that's crazy. And she's out in the middle of nowhere. You are in a house with no music and you found metal. And that's epic. Metal can be like, nope, we're coming in here. This is our house now. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. I honestly, I don't think I would have gotten into it if it hadn't been for Guitar Hero. Like, I really don't think so. I don't know where, I mean, I don't know where I would have had the opportunity to hear it, you know?
have you lived in Nashville your entire life or?
No, I was born, in Virginia and lived in Virginia for years. I did briefly live in LA for like 2 or 3 years, and then I did briefly live in Boston for like a year or and a half or so. Um, and then moved back to Virginia and then to Nashville. So yeah.
I was wondering, because I was like, well, you're in a town that's like known for music, but nah, that explains why, because you didn't get there until the end.
Yeah.
But it is very cool. I absolutely love seeing people way younger than me finding metal. Um, I literally go out of my way to make sure people find new metal and stuff like that because I do this show. I at my shop. I do let movies and stuff, but if you're there at certain times, man, I put on music in the back, on YouTube or whatever, and I let them guys listen, and they're like, "What's this? What are we listening to?" And now I'm like, "Oh, this is this band, blah 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 blah." And like I was like, unfortunately, they don't exist anymore, or stuff like that. Unfortunately, I always hate finding bands, and they're like, and they're broke up. Damn. Uh,
Yeah.
so you're a metal person. You're playing cover bands. Do you have a secondary music that you like to play since you're doing covers now, or since you're working with all these bands as a gun for hire?
I literally like probably any genre, and the only genre I'd say that I'm probably weak on is country. It doesn't mean I wouldn't play it. I'm not really good at that whole chicken picking thing. but I really enjoy I really enjoy just shredding mostly. That's my main love. I really do like the punk stuff too, because it's like a chance to like just beat your guitar, you know, and not care if you're out of tune for once. It's like and not care where you are in the song, and not care if you knock over the beer, or not care if you know, hit someone, or like that's the point of the show, and they want you to do that. It's like, yeah, make sure your guitar is slightly out of tune. Make sure you break a string. Make sure you use a baseball bat and hit me in the face. Make sure it's like it's completely different. So, I mean, I don't like hitting people in the face, but I really like the freedom to just not care. You know, that's fun. But I wouldn't want to do that all the time, you know, because I do like to focus and shred. But it is nice to kind of let loose and just, you know,
Yeah.
like thrash punk away.
Yeah, I grew up on the Ramones and the Misfits and Sex Pistols and stuff, and yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The so what guitar are you currently playing? What's your guitar of choice?
My guitar of choice, and really the only one I play at the moment, is my Jackson Pro Series King V. Yeah.
So, I'm I love being able to do this for my kids. I'm like your mom. I'm one of the ones who's like, my kids like, my older son goes, "Can I have a guitar?" He goes, "I want a Strat." I'm like, "Well, you sure?" I said, "What you want?" "Yeah." So I contact my buddy who works at a music store, and he refurbishes guitars, and I'm like, "I need a Strat." He's like, "Okay." So he's like, "I got these five." And I'm like, "All right." So I was like, "Okay, Joe, which one do you want?" He's like, I want the white one with the, I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "Well, we can customize it. We can put a different color. We can put a black pick guard. We can put a green pick guard. We can put a white pick guard. We can do all this stuff." And Joe's like, "Well, I want that, that, and that." And then, so he basically just has a white Strat. And I'm like, "All right, is that what you want?" "Yes." So I bought him a white Strat for Christmas. And then my youngest son, he has autism, and he'll get fascinated by certain things. I got him a electric drum kit, and he just got it at Christmas time, and he already knows like 8 songs, and it's insane to watch my kid. And I'm like, I'm so proud of him. I mean, literally, I'm telling you about it. I'm like, I just tell everybody, I'm like, "Look at this, look at him play." He'll just look at me and he goes, "Dad." I'm like, "What, Vince?" He goes, "I'm playing I Had the Tiger by Survivor." And he's like, I'm like, never guitar, never drum lesson, no nothing. It's just he watches YouTube, he watches everything that people do, and then he goes from there. And I just, I think that's great. I suck at playing instruments now. I used to play bass back in the day, and I played in a punk thrash band, and now I have no feeling in these two fingers, and so it's really hard to play bass now. But I love hearing parents that get really behind their kids, and you're like you said, your parents had no musical background. They're like, you ask for a guitar, and they're like, "What now?" And you were
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. What is that?
and I need that's like, my son knew exactly what he wanted. And if he would have asked my parents for that, they'd be like, "You want a what?" "A guitar." I'll get you a guitar, and they'll go to Walmart and buy one of the $50 little shitty guitars, and they're like, "Well, it looks like the one in the picture." But me, I'm like, "What do you want? I will get you what you want. I will do whatever I have to make sure that you're happy." Because I pursue I want my kids to do what they want to do, even though he's an adult now and the youngest is not. But
Yeah,
um
that's awesome.
so what are you, outside of your music that you're playing and stuff, what music are you listening to right now?
Um, I know it sounds weird, but I really actually don't listen to much music. Like I'm always listening to music to play it, that I don't actually just listen to it. Like I'm like always listening and learning. So it's like if I'm learning something for a gig, it's usually like 10 to 15 songs of a certain band or genre, and it's like boom, 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 and then I'll listen to that, and then I'll be on YouTube practicing, and then some other song related will come up, and then maybe I'll listen to that. Um, but I really don't listen to much music. It's usually just I'm either working on music or I'm listening it to learn it.
Oh, cool. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you gotta listen to learn. So do you find it easier to listen to learn, or do you go through and watch like the tutorials or anything like that?
That's kind of the crazy thing with me, where like when I first started playing guitar, I was pretty much tone deaf actually. Like I couldn't tell like that something sounded wrong. Like I was really bad at playing in general. Like I was really good physically playing. You know,
Mhm.
I could shred before I could tell you that like a chord was major or minor, you know? Like yeah, so I really struggled with like hearing music and learning songs by ear for like the longest time. I always did rely on tabs and rely on anything written down or a video or fingerings. But now, like, I guess it's just I'm at a point where like I can just learn songs by ear, and I pretty much always have to do that. Like, especially with like original artists, they don't have tabs, and sometimes they don't even have a recording. So you just get like this acoustic track of them singing and the recordings like they sound like they're a million miles away and you're like what is that note, is that an open E, and you're just trying to really listen in because it sounds like they're 1,000 feet away from the microphone because compression and like it gets
Yeah.
weird with recordings, so it's really hard. But then my ears, I really think my ears gotten really good where it's like I can just figure stuff out, and if I don't figure it out I can come up with a cooler part or something similar to it. So I pretty much always have to learn things by ear. Certain songs like on Broadway with the cover stuff, I'll try and look up the tabs or how the actual artist played it, you know, like Bark at the Moon or like Rebel Yell. You know, some of those songs, a lot of the tabs are wrong or strange, and I'll kind of dig for the right way to play it, but mostly by ear.
Okay. Do you have a favorite song, that cover song you like to play, that you try to play every time you go out and play?
It probably that I've actually played before would probably just be Bark at the Moon. That's probably my favorite.
Cool. It's a great song. I mean, can't go wrong with Bark at the Moon. So, we do this one. What advice do you have for aspiring musicians breaking into the business right now?
I would say as far as guitarists go, or just music business in general.
Just let's go guitarist first, and then general. You know,
As a guitarist, I would just say like just find your favorite musical genre and just start learning songs in the genre. I mean, that's what I did, you know. I really would recommend learning theory. Like I know many people are self-taught and they learn by ear, but if you already have a great ear, you might as well learn theory because it will only help you, you know. If you don't have a great ear, theory will help you get a better ear. So either way, learning a good decent amount of basic theory, if nothing else, is I would say is really important and will help you a lot. Another thing is to just not be afraid of being thrown in an unfamiliar situation, you know, like don't not play with that band because you don't think you should or can, like just do it anyway, and you'll probably embarrass yourself. but the more you do that, the less you'll embarrass yourself. So like you might have never played, you know, a certain kind of genre before, but don't be afraid to take the gig because you don't feel like you can do it. That's like the best learning advice I would say, and just really kind of listen and use your ear and have fun.
it's we've had this discussion, and we always tell people, "Is like, man, are you playing music? Yes. Are you having fun playing music? Yes. May not be the genre that you like, but you're making money, you're having fun, and you're playing music, and you're learning. Because even if it's not your normal, you're still learning every time you get up and play in front of anybody with the new, music. So everything is always going to be on the positive, playing outside your comfort zone. So
Yeah, I mean, even like working on Broadway, even though most of the time I'm just strumming chords, you know, probably 50% of the time I'm just strumming chords and the occasional solo. It's really helped my ear and my musical awareness a lot because like there's a lot of things that go into playing things like that. On Broadway, another thing is like a lot of times you're thrown songs that you've never even heard, like at all, ever. Like you've never even heard the song, nor the name of the artist, nor the title. You know nothing about this song, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna play this song." It's like, okay, let me find the chart for it. Okay, it's in a different key. Okay, I have to transpose it in my brain. If I don't have a transposer, any way to do that, I have to transpose it in my brain, and then it's like I don't know when the solo is going to come in. I don't know what the words are. I don't know if there's like stops. I don't know if there's starts. I don't know. And you just have to completely just like, you know, grip onto the steering wheel and hope that you don't crash, basically. And you crash a lot. I crash a lot. But you just doing that so much. I've noticed just in like the 4 months I've been doing it, like my ear has gotten, and my awareness of things have gotten so much better just in that small amount of time. just like I can hear or anticipate like progressions, keys. Like sometimes you'll be playing a song that you've never heard before, and then all of a sudden someone looks at you and says, "Okay, solo," and you're like, "Okay, well, I don't know what key this is in." You play a note. Is it right? Is it wrong? Okay, it's probably B minor, and you kind of find your way. Um, but you know, I can see like doing that a year from now. I'll you know, I mean, that's a huge skill to learn, to just pick up and go. Like that's, you know, you can't learn that at a desk. You have to do it and embarrass yourself continuously, and then
All by
finally
fire.
one day.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is music your full-time gig? Is that your full job?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. Because I'm like sitting there because I was thinking to myself, I was like, there's no way she could have a regular job outside of this. Because
Yeah.
you're talking about playing in all these bands and doing all this stuff. I'm like, how do you find time? I mean, is that why you formed a band with your boyfriend so you could spend time with?
Yeah. Yeah, single reason.
Yes.
Yeah, the weekends we don't go out, we learn songs, but we do enjoy playing together a lot, just outside of music, but we do play a lot of our music together. But it does keep me busy. Honestly, the thing that takes up the most of my time is just making sure I have enough time for my own stuff, you know, and I'm still, you know, dipping into that and not focusing all of my energy onto everyone else's projects. So it's social media and making videos. That's probably the biggest time sucker for me. Just making a YouTube video is like a huge deal, and tabbing things out is a huge time consumer and things like that. It is hard to find time sometimes.
Yeah. You and your boyfriend work together, like he direct your movie or your videos and or anything like that. You guys working together all the time and stuff like that?
He doesn't do so much filming and video stuff, but that's mostly me. Because I'm trying to, you know, work on growing my social media, especially my YouTube. That's a hard one to break through.
Yeah.
But just making videos and finding time to learn songs and then learn the songs for the people that I actually have to learn the songs for. Yeah, it's hard to find time sometimes.
Well, we're getting towards the end. I don't want to keep you too long because you're a great guest and you are very busy. Where can people find you at online?
At the moment, just my social media, which I mean, I think I have like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have a Twitch, but I don't do anything on that. I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. Um, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just Sacra Victoria. I think Instagram Sacra Victoria official, but yeah. Um,
And
any place there, I definitely appreciate the follow. And I don't have any music out yet, any official music. I have a demo on Bandcamp, but that doesn't really count.
and can we use music on at the end of the show because we like to put music at the end during the credits for
Sure.
replay. Okay, cool. Anything else you'd like to add? You got any upcoming events that you're playing or anything you got going on? This will not drop this Thursday. It'll drop next Thursday. So the 15th, I think, maybe. Is that right? I'm brain farting here. Um, I I know this is bad. February's got me all wonky right now. Yes, the 15th. It will drop on the 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Uh, so you got anything coming up?
I have a few artist gigs. They're all in Nashville, so and if anyone's in Nashville, definitely follow all of my social media. Well, especially Instagram, and Facebook. They're kind of one and the same, but I'll definitely post all of my dates on there. Let me see that.
So hopefully my goal is still to get to Nashville maybe this summer. So hopefully I will be heading to Broadway and I will see you at their plays.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
And hopefully your album will be out and I can see Sacred Symphony playing somewhere in Nashville and maybe who knows, maybe Ohio. Because I'm working on something I would really like to do, and my wife's like, maybe you shouldn't. That's a lot. But my goal is that to get all the bands that we've done for TalkNRoll that are within like a 5 hour circle to do a big show here in my hometown. And I just think that would be kind of cool. So we get like all these bands that people have never heard of playing somewhere. So,
That sounds cool.
um, but you're a blast. You are an amazing guitar player. Um, it's cool knowing that you're a gun for hire and you're out there just playing whatever you and you're learning, and that's insane that you're playing this and being able to like pick it up like that. Um, Playing by ear is just amazing feat. I had to learn the weird way. I had to memorize everything from watching videos and get finger placement and all that fun stuff. And I couldn't learn from ear. Now I couldn't do it for the life of me because all I hear beep now because I'm old and it sucks. Um, but maybe next time I can get you on the show, we can get you and your boyfriend and get Sacred Symphony on the show as that, and we can have a talk about that too. So,
Yeah, that'd be cool. Thank you.
but you're welcome. Yet again, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to get ready to get off here. And I'll talk to you for a second and give you a heads up and have a good night. So I will see you soon. Here we go.